it's me, Jade. I just wanted to make this video today to talk about the coronavirus pandemic in Japan. Basically, the world right now is amazed at Japan and the progress that it's made with battling the coronavirus pandemic, and there have been many news reports saying, wow, Japan is coming out of lockdown. Wow, only 850 deaths. Or, wow, how is this possible? Well, basically, it's not possible, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that today. The messages from friends and family members saying, wow, aren't you lucky that you're in Japan right now? And wow, what an amazing turn of events. But the reality is a little bit different. So, yeah, Japan did not enter a lockdown. We only went into an emergency situation, which meant that the government advised people to stay indoors, to avoid public transportation, avoid closed spaces, and contact with others, to wear a mask at all times, and to obviously wash your hands. The same sort of general information that the rest of the world has been getting. However, we did not enter a lockdown, and businesses did not close for the most part. Restaurants did end up closing earlier. By 8 p.m. you had to be off the premises and shut down for the night. However, there were a few restaurants that kind of overlooked that and stayed open a bit later. But I would say that by the time everybody was scared properly, because famous people had died at that point, yes, restaurants were adhering to that rule. As for businesses, a lot of companies refused to shut down and did force their employees to come into the offices and continue working, which is frankly shocking and very scary.
I myself was asked to come in and teach English at nursery schools during the coronavirus emergency situation. As you can see here, this was the rush hour morning train, and people were definitely not able to stand with at least 2 meters distance between them. Although everybody is wearing a mask here, I'm not sure how much that saved them.
I actually read online somewhere that despite the emergency situation, public transport only decreased by about 27%. And there are a lot of freaking people that live in Tokyo. I'm talking, my closest station is Shinjuku Station, for those that would like to stalk me. And there are 3 million people that walk through that station every single day. 3 million people. So we're talking a lot of people in Tokyo, and for public transport to only have decreased by 27%, it's a little bit freaking scary, you know? The problem is that Japan is, despite what the world may view it as, technologically behind, okay? For a first world country, one of the most economically advanced countries in the world, Japan is not cutting it, frankly. They still use fax machines. I'm not even going to go into this because I didn't even know how to use a fax machine before I came to Japan.
But now we know how to use them because they still use them.
Anyway, that's just besides the point. Japan's a bit technologically backwards, and because of that, they didn't like the idea of people not coming into the office. They refused to think of solutions to put most of the offices and businesses online and get them to work via Zoom, or, you know, I know that a lot of call centers in Japan still ask their employees to come in. Call centers are gonna be such a buzz point for the virus, right?
Until recently, the KDDI Evolver office in Tokyo was packed at peak hours with nearly 80 operators sitting less than a meter apart without partitions.
So yeah, that's my first point. It was not a lockdown, it was simply a stay at home and do your best. But Japan, I think, was quite focused on keeping the economy going, so that obviously didn't help try to prevent the spread of this horrible coronavirus. My second point is that Japan is saying to the world, wow, look, we have so few cases, only 16,000 and something cases, and only 800 and so people have died. What a miracle! Yeah, that is a miracle, except for the stark reality that testing was not being performed here. I mean, of course, a little bit of testing was performed, otherwise we wouldn't even know about the cases that we have disclosed to the world. However, the reality is that testing here was not commonplace, not performed on many people. In fact, I read the figures today online, which I will show you now. So yeah, that's pretty shocking, and as this guy says, so yeah, if people aren't getting tested, we're not getting the actual figures on how many people genuinely have coronavirus here. And I think the numbers are probably a lot higher than what we have been made to believe. A third point I would like to make is there was this one poor girl who I read an account of that felt ill and had trouble breathing and tried so hard to get a test for coronavirus, and she was sent to a special facility to get tested and asked not to tell anyone about this. So to understand this, I guess we need to go into how Japanese society works a little bit. The Japanese are very private. They don't like anybody to know about what's going on in their personal lives, unless you're a close friend, obviously. The Japanese society as a whole is pretty closed. They wouldn't like the idea of anybody knowing that they personally had caught coronavirus, and so they're sent to these private facilities to get tested at. I think this is also a case of the neighbors, right? So the people that live around that special facility would hate the idea of knowing that coronavirus testing is going on there. So for the sake of the neighbors, no one is telling anybody that that facility is being used for coronavirus. So the case of this poor girl, she tried to go to the hospital, I think it was 4 times. There were 2 times during the night where she couldn't breathe and she was taken by an ambulance and driven around, I'm not joking, for 6 hours. This one night she was driven around Tokyo for 6 hours as the ambulances went from hospital to hospital trying to find a place that would accept possible coronavirus patients, because a lot of the hospitals in Tokyo were just plain out saying no, not because they were overpopulated. In fact, I heard another person say that they went to a hospital the other day and it was empty. There was just no one there. The staff was standing around idly wondering what to do because the staff were afraid of catching the coronavirus. And they didn't want that risk on them or the other patients in those hospitals, so this poor girl was driven around Tokyo for 6 hours trying to find anywhere that would take her in just to look after her. I think the 2 times that she went to these hospitals, she was taken in, looked at, and basically told, oh well, we don't perform testing here, so we can't clarify whether or not you have coronavirus, so we can't treat you for it, etc. So eventually, after many phone calls and hours of translating by her friend, she eventually got a chance to go get tested, but again at this special facility, which I think is why it took so long for her to get testing, because they were trying to refuse testing to as many people as possible if they deemed it unnecessary. This poor girl couldn't freaking breathe, you know, like...
She wasn't the only one to suffer this treatment. Even a famous sumo wrestler died because they couldn't get him to a hospital on time.
The point I want to make is that coming out of this emergency situation and reopening Japan, and especially Tokyo, this super densely populated area, I think it's a bad idea. And today I went online, did a little bit more research to see what news was coming out, and indeed we have entered a second wave of coronavirus. So yeah, now the hospitals are becoming inundated with coronavirus cases. The fact that staff are coming down with it as well. Yeah, not cool. We obviously need as many medical staff on the case as possible. And it's all just a big piece of poo, really, isn't it? One of the things I will say is that while I've been out and about, people are definitely wearing their masks. I would say 90% maybe 99% of people are out there wearing masks. So that is something nice to see. I would also say that probably one of the reasons why coronavirus hasn't spread as much as maybe in other countries is because of the cold, sort of distanced Japanese society. People here bow, they don't shake hands, they don't hug, they don't kiss. So that distance, that social distancing thing that everyone else is doing, Japan's already doing that in their own time on a normal day-to-day life basis anyway. So that's nice. Ooh, I was talking to a co-worker the other day, and the death rate compared with previous years is substantially higher, and some of these kind of unknown deaths that, you know, they've just found dead people in their homes, for example, usually the elderly, they've just kind of refused to test those bodies, so just kind of been like unknown deaths. Well, probably coronavirus, let's face it. So the elevated death rate compared with previous years, plus the fact that now they're discovering dead people and probably will continue to discover elderly people in their homes, because frankly, if they're not being accepted by hospitals, where else are they going to go? Yeah, I think the case is a lot more shocking than we're being made to believe. Positive things though, I did get my masks from Abe. Let me go and get them for you. So these came in the post, I would say 2 weeks ago, which is pretty late anyway, considering that masks disappeared a long time ago and I'm in the middle of Tokyo. For me to be getting my masks about 2.5 months into the coronavirus crisis was a little bit late. I know my friend in Awaji Island, she got hers maybe a month before mine came through. And Awaji Island is a tiny island. Luckily, I had a stack of masks that I was using, and they have so far proven to have saved me, unless I was asymptomatic. Because
who knows about any asymptomatic people here in Japan? No one knows because no testing is being done.
Anyway, let's have a look at my Abe mask. Oh, it's different to the one that my friend had. The one that my friend had kind of looked like a duck's beak. This has got several layers. This is fun, isn't it? It's like a little pockety place. Oh, yeah, there's like a little bunch of little pockets. Okay, let's try it on. Well, perhaps this would work on an Asian's face, but my nose is rather protruding and is much bigger than most Asians' noses, unfortunately. So, perhaps not the best safety, but hey, there are a smeg ton of layers on this thing, so yeah. My chin is like coming out the bottom. Oh well. I guess I'm not Japanese, so that's my problem. That's my fault. That was a fun experience. Yeah, I just wanted to share the truth of, well, at least my reality living here in Tokyo. I noticed even with the emergency situation, children were out playing. Corona times. No masks. Oh, one thing that was spread around is that children can't get coronavirus. So because of that, I would see the parents out there with masks, but not their children, their tiny 2-3-year-olds.
I took this picture during the cherry blossom season, and as you can see, the nursery school workers are wearing masks, but the children are not.
I feel like while some people are praising Japan's approach, I would not be praising Japan right now. However, I would say that the government's plan worked because, you know, the economy didn't go down too badly. The tourist industry has died, which means that now I've seen news that Japan might be trying to kickstart the economy and the tourist industry again by offering half price on your holiday. So I've seen, it hasn't yet been confirmed, but I've seen news that Japan might be paying for half your trip in order to get more people over to Japan this summer and keep the economy going. Stay tuned on that. Anybody that wants to come to Japan, I will make another video if that news turns out to be true and a real thing, and stick some information in the video for you. But then again, coronavirus, maybe let's just hang on a little bit. Yeah, Japan's borders are still currently closed to Europe and the US and basically most other countries. which I think is a good thing because most countries right now should probably have their borders closed. I'm going to stop wobbling now because I'm tired of listening to my own voice. I hope this answered any questions. If you have any comments or questions, then please stick them down there in the comments box and I will try and get back to you on that. For those of you that feel like subscribing, please go ahead and do that. I'm not going to stop you. And in general, I hope you have a lovely day. Bye!